we are 40 days after Christmas. So for some people, this is the last day of the Christmas season. And we are now only 16 days before Lent. And in between that, we have this feast of, some people will call it the purification of the Blessed Virgin Mary, and others will say the presentation of the Lord. Now, there's a lot going on, okay? So the Blessed Mother, going to the custom of the Jews, after a woman gave birth, she would be ritually unclean. So it's not sin. It's not that, she did something wrong, but she would get 40 days pretty much off of doing spiritual things. So she goes to the temple, and if the family or she were rich, it would be a lamb and a pigeon. But we know that Mary comes from a poor family, so it's 2 turtle doves. Then we have Jesus being presented in the temple. So the firstborn male, firstborn males had a little bit of an issue. Originally, the priesthood was supposed to be sent down by the firstborn, so father, firstborn, and so on. But we have a little issue called the golden calf. The Levites stand up, and they are entrusted with the priesthood. So what would happen is the firstborn son, if he was not a Levite, the family would bring 5 shekels to buy a Levite in the place of their firstborn son. So that's what's going on with Mary and Jesus. All right? Then we have Simeon, that he's just an old man waiting for his time, okay? And tradition is that the next day he died. So he was with the revelation, and what was revealed to him became reality. And then we have Anna, that she's just a little old lady that pretty much lives at the temple day and night and is praying and fasting. And she comes up and, oh, baby Jesus. And she's excited because she sees that redemption is at hand. The thing is that I don't want to preach on any of them. I want to preach on the one that doesn't speak at all. St. Joseph is there. St. Joseph is witnessing all of this. And the reason I want to focus on St. Joseph is going to be from a masculine perspective, is that I don't know how he dealt with this moment. Because the thing is that as Simeon goes up to Mary and Joseph, and he says, "Behold, this child is destined for the fall and raise of many in Israel, and to be a sign that will be contradicted. And you yourself, Mary, will have a sword pierce your heart." So I just imagine Mary being okay, and then St. Joseph's kind of because why isn't he included? Why isn't a sword going to pierce his heart? Why is it just going to be the child and the mother that are going to suffer? For a man to hear that, how defeating. How discouraging. That I'm not going to be there for the ones I love in their most dire moment. I don't know how he went through this. Because as I will point out, at Christmas time, St. Joseph has the 3 Ps, okay? He prays for the Holy Family. So he brings them to the temple several times a year to make those obligations. That he provides. So we know that he works to make sure that they have a roof over their head and that they're able to eat. And that he protects, okay? Going from Bethlehem to Egypt would not be an easy journey. So we know that he had to protect the Holy Family. So now here's a moment that he can't protect. Here's a prophecy that Joseph, you're not going to be able to fulfill your husband and fatherly duties. How useless must he have felt? But this is what I would say, is that I can't help but imagining as, they go back to Nazareth and they're living their life, that when something went wrong, something didn't go according to plan, that St. Joseph would be no, this is not the moment. This is not the moment that is been prophesied. that I have to wait. I have to continue to do what I need to do. That even though I will not be there for that moment, because he doesn't understand the passion, he doesn't understand that Jesus will be crucified, he doesn't understand that when Christ's side is pierced, that the mother's heart will be pierced as well. He doesn't know any of this. This hasn't been revealed to him. That he has to trust. That he's not going to be able to stop, the people from yelling, crucify him. He's not going to be able to stop the people from beating and spitting upon Christ. He's not going to be able to stop the soldiers from putting the nails in his hands and his feet. He's not going to be able to give Christ something better to drink than gall. That he's not going to be able to stop the mocking and the taunts that the people yell at Christ on the crucifix. That he's not going to be able to stop that lance from piercing his side. That he's not going to be able to stop his son dying for all of us. But here's the beauty, is that it shows that he has to trust. Because again, something that I'm continuously and frequently working on is, your will be done, not my will be done. And I think St. Joseph shows us that beautifully. That he could have been like, you know what, Simeon, shut up. Not today. You're going to stop your prophecy right there. But he receives it with grace. And he continues to do what he is called to do. So in those moments when I think that, okay, God, I'm doing my best, but it might not be the way I want it to be, please bring fruit out of it. That I am following you to the best of my ability, and I'm going to trust you even when the moment seems darkest. That I will take that next step, that I will take that next breath, that I will continue to follow you even when all I can see is a little bit of spark of a light, okay? If we had the chance, we would be in darkness and you would all have candles lit, but we can't do that at the moment, okay? But that's what St. Joseph shows us, is that all of us are able to take the next step when we focus on God. So, yes, the one that's quiet, the one that doesn't say a word during this whole gospel, okay, just kind of standing in the background. I think it hits hard. And again, I'll say from the masculine mind and heart, is that I want to provide, I want to pray, I want to protect, I want to do my best. And if I don't see fruit immediately, I'm going to be frustrated. I'm going to doubt that God loves me. I'm going to doubt that God's able to work with what I have done. And St. Joseph tells me, slow down. Catch your breath. It's going to be okay. And sometimes I have to be like, are you sure? Are you really? Okay. But again, that is the beauty of this gospel. And again, there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more depth and amazing things. But I wanted to focus on St. Joseph. Because a man who is hearing that his wife her heart will be pierced, still able to follow God, still able to trust God, and still able to love God.